From handing out towels as a fitness coach to leading one of Florida's top mortgage firms, Nathan Young has built a legacy of resilience and results. For over 25 years, he's steered NorthStar Mortgage Network through market crashes, always putting passion before profit and people before titles. In this episode, Nathan shares his insights on leadership, adaptability, and the current real estate landscape. With multiple industry awards, including the 2024 and 2025 5-Star Mortgage Professional, his story is one of grit, grace, and growth. Welcome Nathan Young to the CEO Blueprint.
Nathan, thank you so much for accepting to join the Blueprint, the CEO Blueprint. For me, it's very late in the evening. I know it's afternoon for you over there in the US. And it's an opportunity to have you join us today to share your journey in running NorthStar Mortgage Network over the last 25 years. And I believe that by the end of 25 years is a long time, then to 5 years is a long time. Yeah. And I say that because I ran a business for 5 years, Nathan. And after 5 years, I was tired of that business and I got out of it. So when I hear people been running a business for the last 25 years, 10 years, I'm like, how did you do it? Why are you still here? A lot of people would have said, look, I want to sell this business, and then, move on to something else. But look, you've stayed. I want to hear what has kept you going and all of that. So, Nathan, I think you've got a very interesting background as being a fitness coach. And then you pivot into what you're doing right now. An interesting journey. So the floor is yours right now. I want you to tell the audience your story. How did you get here?
I failed my first mortgage test, and then I said, I got to pass this thing. So I'm terrible at taking tests. I got terrible, ADHD and all that stuff. Anyways, I couldn't pay attention to that thing. So I finally took it and passed it barely. But while I was taking that test, I was trying to figure out what I could do for money because I was at that point living on my own and exhausting all my savings that I had tried to. Anyways, it was just, I didn't know what to do. So finally I got the acknowledgement that I passed. I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So I went to work for a guy in, actually I had moved to Tallahassee at this point, Tallahassee, Florida, and I went to work for a guy who told me how to go to the courthouse and, back then we'd take these big books and dust them off in the courthouse, and it would display what people purchased their homes for and the amount of what we call deed stamps, which is a tax over here, what they purchased the house for. And then I would go take that information and write it down on a pad because we didn't have phones, we couldn't take a picture of it. And then I would come back to the office and I would look them up in the yellow pages or white pages or whatever the personal directory was and give them a phone call and say, hey, I realized you bought your house for this. Do you have any debt you'd like to consolidate? And lo and behold, people responded. And I ended up closing my first couple deals and I made more money than in a month than I could make in 6 months passing out towels at a health club. So I was like, all right, this is good. So I went out and did that at a bunch of courthouses. I got involved with manufactured housing. I don't know, there's a bunch of what they call mobile homes or manufactured houses over here. And so I ended up doing that and doing it so well that I made more. I remember being at the bank at one point in time and the drive-through lady said, Mr. Young, do you know how much money you have in your account? And I said, no. And she said, you might want to come in and talk to one of our financial people. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Did somebody take my money? I don't know. So I went in there and they in turn set me up on an IRA and retirement plan and all this other stuff. And I had more money in there than I knew what to do with. And
wow.
At the time, now it wouldn't be a lot of money, but at the time it was like, wow, this was good. So I kept doing that, and I kept doing that for another probably 3 years. During that time, I met a female, and she wanted to go to work in Jacksonville, so I moved over to Jacksonville, and I believe that was 92, 93, 94, man, I can't even recall. It's got to be early 2000s for sure, maybe 1999. And I moved to Jacksonville to follow her, and I ended up opening up my own mortgage company. So
Wow.
in 2000, April of 2000, I ended up telling my old boss, hey, look, I'm going to open up my own company. I'm sorry, but this is how it's got to be. Because if I'm going to work, I'm going to keep all my money. So I ended up renting a little tiny efficiency office and working my tail off over here because I'm in a new place. I'm still riding off some of the
Yeah.
relationships I had created in Tallahassee. But now I'm in Jacksonville and I'm busting my butt trying to create new relationships with realtors and all that. And I evidently did a pretty good job. Over here, if you say what you do and do what you say, and you don't lie, cheat, or steal, you get business. And
Yeah.
I found that transparency is the key to longevity. So I would talk to people, and they would ask me to do something. I would do it and follow through with it. And 25 years later, I'm still sitting here. I wound up going through all types of climates in the market. So we went through, I think the worst was most recently, but one of the worst was when the market crashed, in 2008,
Yeah. Yeah.
2010. And man, we got emails saying companies are going out of business every day, and it was like a mad panic. It was terrible. It was depressing because the thing that I love to do and woke up to do every day, without any pushing from anybody else, was going away, and it was scary. Lenders were folding. We couldn't fund the loans. We couldn't close the loans that we had set up. It was very scary, but we made it through that time. And as scary as it was, a lot of people left. We had some people in our own chapter commit suicide. As bad as it was, they got themselves overextended, couldn't face reality, couldn't pay the bills, and so they couldn't face life. But I endured all of that. I had, in my little office complex, all around here, there's a bunch of little offices, and there were 6 other mortgage broker businesses in this little subdivision. All 6 are no longer here. I'm the only one left. All 6 left in 2010. They all went out of business. So, when all the eaters go away from the pizza, I get all the pizza.
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. But so we survived 2010, and then it's just been a drive every day for me. And the thing I love about it is this business is constantly changing. It does not stop. We have so many different dynamics that we deal with on a daily basis with so many different types of people. Realtors, builders, title companies, insurance companies, surveyors, appraisers, lenders, underwriters. My God, some underwriters are just, but it's just so much fun for me to come into this office every morning and do what I love to do. And, there's certain aspects of the business that I don't like, accounting. And,
Yeah.
when you get somebody who's not respectful of what you do, or you get somebody who's entitled, and, but we deal with those personalities the best way we can. But the most rewarding part of the job is when you close somebody on their first house, or the house that they've always wanted, or their forever home, and they smile and they get the keys in their hand, and you make their dream come true. And that's what I love about this business, is that part of it is so satisfying, and that keeps me getting up and waking up. And then when somebody gives me a review on Google, and it's a 5-star review, and they say there's nobody better in the business, I'm gonna recommend this guy to all my friends, whatever. That makes me feel so good that they've had a good experience, that I've provided a service for somebody, and they now are living their dream, and that's what keeps me coming back.
Amazing story there, Nathan.
Yeah.
Your story is very inspiring, because from a fitness coach now to someone who is brokering finance for people, and I see you talk about passion, how this brings you joy. There's a line you actually use that I like so much. You said 25 years later, I am still sitting here.
Yeah.
And just as it is in life, life will throw curveballs at you. So is it in business as well. You talked about how you survived COVID. Was it a strategy thing that kept you going? Did you change strategy, or was this about passion? You just wanted to stay in there, or you changed strategy as the market was changing? What did you do differently? I'm interested in learning that.
Actually, COVID was pretty good to us because rates over here in the States
Yeah.
came down from fives to twos and threes. So during COVID, I actually did very well. I remember staying up till about 3 in the morning processing applications. And one of the things that I like to do is I'm not a greedy guy. I don't like to pillage. I don't like to take advantage of people. So one of the things I did was charge a little off a lot.
Mm.
If you follow me, so I make a little bit of money off a lot of people. So, but that in turn led me to staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning processing applications because rates were so low, everybody wanted to refinance them. But if you're referring to what kept me focused during the economic meltdown in 2010, that was a focus and a drive to continue doing what I love to do. Number one, I don't know how to do anything else. This is all I know how to do. This is what I find to be, it's not work to me if you like what you do. And I like to do this, so it's not work. So I continue to do this. But it was also a drive to get through it when I saw other people going down with the ship. I'm the one in the crow's nest holding on, for dear life. Like, what's that movie? Forrest Gump, when
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dan's up in the crow's nest cursing God. You're like, I'm hanging in, man. I'm hanging in. I'm going to maintain. I'm going to stay the course.
Yeah.
That was what kept me going through all of that. And I just did not want to become a casualty. I wanted to continue to work and prosper. And we made it through, We lost some people. As far as brokers that I have under me, they went and did other stuff because they couldn't survive it. They had their own casualties and had their own credit challenges or whatever. But I maintained. And what's funny now is through COVID, so I'll break away from the meltdown in 2010, but through COVID, I had probably 10 brokers working under me, and I have a condo here that all the offices were full. So I had a person in each office. But when COVID hit, everybody bought a laptop and went home. So they all started working from home. So I didn't get to see anybody, and it got to be pretty, I guess lonely is what you'd say. Going to an office every day when you usually have 10 people all around you, and now you don't have anybody. Everybody's on, like we're doing Zoom or whatever. And but most of them stayed with me. Some of them did their own thing. Some of them went away, and but we kept focused during COVID and ended up doing pretty good, with or without some folks. What's funny between that time and now, 2025, is that most of those people that left are either no longer in the business or they came back and now they work for me again or work with me. And I've got some new people that I even used to look up to in the business that are now wanting to hang their license with me because of, I guess, the way that I've interacted with them over the years, or the way that I, present myself, or the things that I do. I think they find, or I hope they find attractive, and that's why they're coming and wanting to work with me. So
Yeah.
there's some good
Thank you.
things.
Yeah, thank you for that. But I still want us, because I think I've learned a lot in what you've just mentioned now, especially during COVID and how you survived. And if you allow me to summarize this in my own words, it will be that it was more of adaptability for you and being innovative in the face of changes. You talked about being lonely, coming to the office, and then you're the only one. You adapted, right?
Yes.
And this is one story that I think corporate America needs to hear. And as people gradually start going back to the office and all of that, but corporate America is used to, let's talk about profits. Let's talk about profits. If you're not profitable, then we shut down this business. If you're not profitable, then we shut down this business. Um, I got a secret from you, because for you it was more about, let's just survive.
Yeah.
Let's leave the profit side of it. Let's survive. And because I'm beginning to think, Why did other businesses go down and you survived? Because you were not at that point looking at profitability, but rather survival.
Yeah.
And now I know the secret why 25 years after you're still sitting there. You will prefer to survive than, oh, it's profits this year. If
Yes.
it's not profit, then we are not doing very well. Thank you so much. And there's always this question I always wonder. I ask people that come on this show, but I know you've talked about it already. But I'm going to ask you again because my audience always like me to ask this question. For you choosing this path that you've taken right now, Nathan, was it? I know the answer, but I just want to ask you:
Sure.
was this about passion? Because I like to hear it from your mouth. Say it again and again. Was it passion, or was it, look, there is a need in the market and I'm meeting it? Why are you here? Is it passion that has kept you, or you're just happy meeting the needs?
For me, it's the passion to help other people.
Mm,
When I at the end of the day, when I put my head on a pillow and I think about what have I done during the day to make the world a better place, um,
mm,
and when I know God's looking down on me, and I don't mean to get spiritual or religious, but I know when the power that greater than me is looking down
mm,
on me, going, "What did you do to do better today? What did you do to help the world today become a better place?" Whether it makes a little profit after helping somebody or not, that is the passion that I have to help other people, because I know that's the way I feel. That's the at the end of the day, that's I think what provides the drive to keep going is that I
mm.
want to make sure that I have made a difference in the world, whether it be mortgages or whatever I do outside of the office. But I think it's the passion or my passion for helping others achieve their dreams, their wants, needs, and desires.
And in your 25 years journey of running North Star, and we'll go into the details of what North Star does and all of that. But in your 25 years of running North Star, were there moments where you had self doubts as to, why did I do this, or should I be doing something else? Did you at some point feel like quitting? What kept you going?
Well, there's certain parts in. I don't think I felt that in 2010, but in 2023 and 2022, there were parts of me that says, "Wow, maybe I'd be better off working for, um, a big company." And the grass is always greener started to get in my head, and I mean, I thought maybe I should go back to personal training just because the phone was not ringing. Nobody was
Yeah.
answering the phone. Sometimes I felt like I was the only guy on the planet with a computer, because I would email somebody and I wouldn't get a response. It just, I don't know if you've seen the old Western movies, but when the tumbleweeds rolled by the front of the house, that's what it seemed like in those 2 years. And at that point in time, it's the only time in my 25-year existence with this company that I felt like the grass might be greener. Maybe I should do something different. Maybe I should throw in the towel. But, thank God I had a good 2020, because, like I said, we were refinancing everybody in 2020 because the rates were so good. I had built up enough, to be able to endure 2022 and 2033. So, then the whole election process, and it's all about, I think, the consumer having the security that they're going to keep their
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
the financial security to make people want to spend money. So once our new administration took place, and whether you're for it or against it, it seemed as if the public got reassurance that they were going to have a job tomorrow. And so we've had a pretty good go this year in 2025. In fact, I was nominated and won a Mortgage Broker of the Year for National Association of Mortgage Brokers, which I had to call them and say, "Is this fake?" Because I get a lot of stuff. I called and said, "Is this real?" Because I'd love to post it on social just to show people, yeah, the guy, I guess this is what they give you when you're old and been in business forever. But yeah, again, I'm rambling, but I forgot the question. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I think you answered my question already, and I'm going to ask you something. Your leadership style. I was looking at your team, how you've built this team, and I want you to talk about, how you've kept your team motivated.
Yeah.
I noticed something quite unique, and I thought I should ask you, how come everybody in North Star Mortgage almost have the same titles, senior loan officer, including
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah.
Is it that leadership is not in titles? Is that a culture at North Star? Why? I'm curious to know why everyone has the same title, including yourself,
Yeah.
the founder.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to my, upbringing in when I used to personal train people. And, you have to treat everybody the same, so to speak, as far as the you could do it and the attitudes. And I bring that to my company to where they don't work for me or under me, they work with me. And I think that's a
Mm,
big way of whether they're new, whether they're not new, whether they're senior, whether they're older, whether they've been in the business for 30 years. We're all still senior loan officers. But I think because I treat everybody fairly, that's why I give everybody that same title. In other words, I don't prioritize. Um, I learned a long time ago that you have to, in order to run a successful company, you've got to be willing to let your top producer go.
mm,
And that kind of shocked me because I'm like, well, why would you want to do that? Um, but in order to navigate any type of relationship, you got to be willing to let it go.
mm.
Otherwise it won't work. So, but being that part of and the part of having everybody equal and be my coworkers, I still own the company and I have the license and I still do payroll and I still do all of the admin stuff that I hate doing, but everybody still equals to me, and I think that they like that. And whenever they ask for help, whether it be a text, a phone call, an email, I try and respond to them as quickly and help them look the best they can be out in public as I can. And I think that's why they like that.
Mm.
And I think it works
Amazing.
because again, most people who were with me who aren't with me now either left the business totally or they've come back, and now I'm getting more people that have come back that I think would probably be fine on their own, but they're saying, no, I want to work with you. I've worked with you for, I've watched you grow for years. I want to hang my license with you, and it's kind of an honor, to
Amazing.
be honest with you. I love it.
Amazing. Great stuff. And I've got one more question for you on
Yeah.
this leadership topic and retaining your top talent. What's one leadership blind spot that causes even good managers to lose great people? I mean, in 25 years, I believe you've seen quite a lot.
Yeah.
And what's that blind spot that causes good managers to lose great people?
There's a lot.
I see this every time, right?
Yeah.
Great people leaving. What do you think managers are doing wrong when great people leave that you've learned over the last 25 years?
Not taking care of them, not listening to
Mm,
them. I mean, I think people would leave this company because either A, I'm not paying attention, I'm not answering their questions, they need help, I need to be here to help them. I think that if somebody leaves a company, it is probably because management cares more about the dollar than the actual person. And I care more about the person knowing that if I do that, then the dollar could potentially be there.
mm,
It's just like you asked me about the passion of my business. If I close a bunch of people on mortgage loans and I make a bunch of people happy, hopefully there will be a check at the end of the day. And, that's nice. But again, the passion goes back to helping the people, whether they be patrons of the company or whether they be employees. Um, my joy comes from making this world a better place. And when I can help, whether it's an employee or a patron, that's where I find the joy and that's where the passion comes from.
good, good. Thank you so much for that. And now I want to go straight into what NorthStar Mortgage Network does.
Yep.
And in reading your story, you talked about this for you is not just another business, but it's something. It brings you joy when you see another family buying their first home, and all of that. What has been the journey like for most people? What do you see I'm going to ask two questions, in one. What
Okay.
has been the journey in terms of people buying homes right now, and what do you think the future looks like? Do you still see more people entering that bracket of being a first-time homeowner in the US? And how do you see yourself still being relevant in that market? This is a lot in that question, but you can just flow with it and just tell us.
Abs- Absolutely. So you're asking me what I think about the current market and what the future market holds,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So the current market is good. As far as I am positioned in Jacksonville, Florida, which is Northeast Florida, which if you look at the map, whether you're from the States or not, you'll see that Jacksonville in Northeast Florida is positioned in a way where we don't get a lot of the activity that they get as far as down south or on the west coast of hurricanes. So a lot of people like that that feature of being in Jacksonville because it keeps the insurance down. So as opposed to where I'm from in Miami, they've had all these hurricanes. So the insurance is really, it's quadruple compared to what we pay here in Northeast Florida. And that's all, of course, due to the ocean and the current keeping the storms off our coast, which is awesome. So I think I'm in a good position. Well, I know I'm in a good position just based on that alone. And being in Northeast Florida, you have the rest of the states above you. You don't have to come from, say, Miami all the way up the state. And we still get somewhat of climates up here. So, and we've got a lot of water for people that like water. We're on the coast, so I think it's a great place. I think out of all of Florida, a lot of people are choosing Jacksonville. So I've got a lot of people coming from New York, California, New Jersey, Washington, and they all seem to have picked Jacksonville first or surrounding areas in Jacksonville. So I think I'm positioned well right now, and I think with the administration going right now as far as giving the consumers job security, and the fact that they know that they're going to have a job. I mean, in 2023, I've had people walk the day before closing because they didn't know if they were going to be employed because some of the companies were in such bad shape. I haven't had that this year. So I think with job security, we're going to continue to grow. And now that I have all of these other folks, when I say all, I mean 4 or 5 other folks wanting to come hang their license with me, that's more potential growth for us as a company. But as far as the future holds, I think as long as this administration can maintain that consumer confidence level in their job security, and maybe if they can get some of the inflation down as far as the cost of goods, to where people have that extra money where they're like, okay, now I can afford this, I can afford that, I can afford. They're talking about now coming out with a 50-year mortgage, which I'm mixed views on that, but what they're trying to do is make it more affordable. So whether the market comes down, whether the interest rates come down, which they should be coming down more, we're getting reports that the interest rates are going to come down even more.
Yeah.
Mortgage rates in the first and second quarter of 2026. So I think the future is brilliant. I think I'm well positioned. One of the hardest things I have though right now, I have to tell you, is getting everything automated, keeping up with the AI and with the CRMs and the follow-ups and all of that, so that when I come into the office, everything is done that can be done. Because I realize if I don't keep up with that, someone else is going to take over. So,
I feel like clapping for you right now.
Oh man, you wouldn't think because I can't operate these Zoom things, but I have been on so many Zoom calls with different companies to look at different CRMs and AI, and we have an AI chatbot now which scours our website looking for answers to questions, and I love that stuff. I mean, I write my own blogs, I do all my own SEOs on my website, I
Yeah.
operate it from the backside. I need help every now and then, but for all of that stuff between, using AI and using my website people, and I handle all my social media. So if you see all the
Yeah.
YouTube stuff, all the rest of it,
Yeah.
that's been my biggest challenge now is trying to keep up with all that stuff while still trying to, I take care of the customers first, obviously, but trying to keep up with all that and pick the right company to go with. That's been the biggest challenge right now, but I'm trying to get everything right so that next year, no problems. We're off and running. We can handle everything.
If I was living in Jacksonville and I wanted to buy a house, there's no other person I will be talking to, if not you. Because I see you've got a lot of data, you're prepared for the future, you've got the knowledge,
Yep.
you know where this market is going to. So look, thank you so much for you are a thought leader in your space, and I like to be optimistic and at the same time also paranoid in
Yeah.
the sense that how do you prepare for the future? I think you've weathered one storm in the past. You've survived where other businesses went down. And there was a time I was reading a particular article and it talked about during the George W. Bush era how the US simulated a possible pandemic. What's the nation going to do? So it was more like the US was prepared for COVID and all of that.
Yeah.
And as a takeaway, practical takeaway for leaders, which is what I'm going to end with, it's going to be an advice from you. Um, Someone is listening, a leader, and is saying, Nathan, you've survived, a possible market crash that could have taken your business down. And when I listen to you, you are prepared for the next one. You're prepared for the AI move. What's going to happen next? What's your advice to anyone listening right now in terms of positioning their business for the possibly next market crash? What do they need to be doing right now to prepare for that? I'm not saying there is going to be one, but like I said, be optimistic, but also paranoid at the same time. How do you make sure that your business is bulletproof?
I don't think there's any way of doing that.
Mm.
Um, all you can do is the best you can do every single day to try
like,
and you know, what's that phrase? 10% of life is what comes at you, and 90% is how you react to it. Something along
correct.
those lines. Maybe you can
Yeah.
clarify that
Yeah.
somewhere. But
Yeah.
so life comes at you, but I don't think there's any way to prepare for what may come of tomorrow. As far as a market crash, another pandemic, and I didn't prepare for that before the COVID and before the other market. We saw the other market crash.
Hmm.
We knew that was too good to be true when you're doing these loans that are just shouldn't be done, in my opinion. And we didn't do those types of loans, and I think that's why we're still here. But I think to prepare for another market crash, all you can do is build your savings to a point where you're comfortable enough to where you can survive. Taking care of your assets and get as many people positioned to ride the wave with you, because I feel in this world everything is cyclical. So things are going to come, things are going to go, and like I like to say, this too shall pass. So even though the pandemic came, it wasn't forever. So as long as I could hang on long enough, or when the market crash came, as long as I could hang on long enough, it will pass. And then it will be great. Again, I bring you back to Forrest Gump. When Lieutenant Dan's in the crow's nest hanging on, yelling at God, and the hurricane comes. He's been trying to catch shrimp all this time, but he has to get through that storm. Once he's done with the storm, all the shrimp come in, and they catch all the shrimp. And then he starts the whole shrimp company and makes millions of dollars. So as long as we can weather the storm and react the way we should, with grace and dignity, and again, transparency and kindness, and the whole do unto others, then I think we can get through anything. Because we're not the only ones that would have to do that. So if any company out there was to prepare themselves, I would say prepare mentally first, and then prepare financially, obviously. But I would get all your people ready to do the same. But there's nothing you can do about what's going to come. There's
Mm,
the only thing you can do about what's going to come is how you react to what's coming.
amazing.
And as long as you react in the way of, say, your higher power, whatever you believe in, it works. And that's what I've done.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge today, Nathan. And your 25 years of running this business cannot be contained in 30 minutes of discussion. It's been engaging. It's been interesting. I was laughing all through and taking a lot of notes as you were talking about. There's one takeaway I'm going to. I'm going with from my discussion. I think it's more about adaptability, and there would also be a time where profitability doesn't matter, but rather surviving,
Yeah.
and that's one lesson I've learned from you today. So look, thank you so much, Nathan, for taking the time to join us and on this show today. I believe that if anyone wants to connect with you, they can find you on LinkedIn. They can connect with you on www.nsmn.com. And I like the fact that your number is there. I can ring you up. I love that.
Yeah. I gotta,
I
I
love
gotta,
that.
I gotta tell you, I don't do a whole lot of these. I've been requested to do a couple, but this one's been fun. I like you,
Yeah.
and you're fun, and you being especially over the pond. I think I don't know. I can't
Thank
say
you.
it. I am just blessed every day, and you just made my day.